So effective it's scary. Your enemies won't want you to know this. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Sun Tzu. Have you ever wondered what secret techniques your enemies are using against you? We often believe that being cautious and staying prepared is enough, but there are powerful tactics hidden from view that can influence your life without you even realizing it. In this video, I will reveal a strategy so effective, it's almost frightening. You'll learn how to defend yourself against hidden forces and manipulation, just like a martial artist mastering inner strength. Stay with me as we dive into this knowledge that your enemies hope you never uncover. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom for more insights that will help you live a life of clarity, strength, and peace. Elena had dedicated her entire life to hard work, and when the day of her retirement finally arrived, she was filled with excitement. She eagerly looked forward to spending time in her cozy home, being with her grandchildren, and finally finding the peace she had long yearned for. She put great care into making her home a warm, inviting place, decorating it with love and attention to every detail. However, it wasn't long before she began to sense something unusual. After certain people visited her, she found herself feeling strangely drained, burdened by an inexplicable heaviness. Her nights grew restless, and at times as she moved through her home, a vague sense of discomfort would wash over her, leaving her uneasy. One day, while tending to the plants in her garden, she encountered her neighbor, Don Javier, a wise and elderly man with whom she had always enjoyed thoughtful conversations. Without hesitation, she decided to confide in him about her troubling experience. Don Javier, something has changed in my house, Elena began. Recently, I've had visits from family and friends, but after they leave, I feel utterly exhausted. It's like the air in my home becomes heavy, and I can't shake this feeling that my house no longer brings me the peace it once did. Don Javier listened attentively, nodding in understanding, and after a brief pause, he spoke in his calm, soothing voice. Elena, what you're experiencing isn't uncommon. Our homes are sacred spaces, and we often overlook the energy people bring with them when they visit. Even with the best intentions, some visitors unknowingly carry emotional baggage or negative energy that can linger in your space if left unaddressed. Elena was taken aback by his insight and asked, "Is there anything I can do to protect my home from these energies? I want it to feel like a sanctuary again." Don Javier offered her a kind smile and replied, "There are many simple but powerful methods to keep your home filled with positive energy, and these practices have been passed down through generations. Let me share some ways to help safeguard your space, ensuring peace and harmony within your home while keeping any negative influence at bay." Intrigued, Elena leaned in as Don Javier began sharing his knowledge. "The first thing I suggest," he said, "is placing a rosemary plant near your front door. Rosemary has been known for centuries for its cleansing and protective properties. Every time you pass by it, lightly touch its leaves and think of protection. This simple gesture will help the rosemary shield your home from unwanted energies." Curious, Elena asked if there was anything else she could do. Don Javier continued, smiling gently. "Rosemary is a wonderful start, but there's more. Another powerful tool is a mirror placed directly across from your entrance. Mirrors have the unique ability to reflect and repel what they receive. If positioned correctly, it can bounce negative energy back out of your home before it has the chance to settle inside. Elena found it fascinating that such an ordinary object as a mirror could have such a profound impact on her home's energy, but Don Javier wasn't finished. "Another essential element is sound," he explained. "A Tibetan singing bowl or wind chimes can be incredibly effective. The vibrations they create clear away stagnant, negative energy and fill the space with harmony. It's a good idea to use these at least once a week or after someone visits, especially if you feel they left behind heavy energy. This will restore balance and peace to your home. Elena thought about how often she had felt that heaviness, but never knew how to clear it. Now, she was excited to try these methods. Don Javier also mentioned using crystals, particularly clear quartz, for protection. Clear quartz is a powerful tool for absorbing negative energy, he explained. Place a crystal in each corner of your main rooms to create an invisible barrier that will purify and protect the space. If you can, charge the crystals under the light of a full moon to amplify their properties. Eleanor was amazed at how simple yet meaningful these practices were. They felt deeply connected to ancient wisdom, and she was eager to begin using them. However, she still had one concern. Don Javier, what if the people bringing these negative energies are family or close friends? I don't want to offend anyone, but I also need to protect my home. Don Javier smiled warmly and said, Elena, while you can't control the intentions of others, you can strengthen your home so that these energies can't affect you. One way to do this is by placing a horseshoe behind your main door. This ancient symbol has been used across the world to protect against bad luck and shield a home from those with ill intentions. By placing it discreetly, you can protect your home without offending anyone. Elena carefully noted all of Don Javier's suggestions, but he had more to share. And one more thing, he continued, never underestimate the power of a white candle. The light of a white candle represents purity and clarity. By lighting one in the center of your home or in the room where you spend the most time, you'll cleanse the environment and bring peace. Each time you light the candle, do it with a clear intention of inviting protection and tranquility into your home. A few days later, Elena eagerly started to put Don Javier's advice into action. She bought a rosemary plant and set it by her front door, making sure to touch its leaves each time she came in or out. She hung a mirror facing the entrance to reflect any negative energy outward. She also placed wind chimes in her window, letting their soothing sound fill the air. Finally, she carefully placed quartz crystals in the corners of her main rooms. One morning, after a visit that would normally have left her feeling exhausted, Eleanor noticed something different. She didn't feel the usual fatigue or the heavy atmosphere. Her home, at last, felt like the peaceful haven she had always wanted it to be. Later on, she invited Don Javier over to thank him in person. You can't imagine how much the energy in my home has transformed since I followed your advice. I truly feel like my house is now protected, not just from negative energy, but also from the negative influences of others, she said gratefully. With his usual serene smile, Don Javier replied, Elena, our home is the most sacred place we have. If we care for it and protect it properly, it will always offer us the peace and serenity we need to face whatever challenges come from the outside world. From that day forward, Elena not only enjoyed her retirement in peace, but also became a source of wisdom for others. She began sharing the valuable lessons she had learned with her friends and family, helping them protect their own homes from negative energies and hidden influences. Do you believe in the power of protecting your home from negative energies? Comment yes if you do, or leave comment number 1 if you're ready to start making your home a peaceful sanctuary like Elena. Master emotional intelligence. Defeat your enemies with these 7 simple strategies. Mastering emotional intelligence is the key to defeating your enemies, not through conflict, but by controlling your own mind and emotions. Emotional intelligence allows you to rise above negativity, confront challenges with wisdom, and turn even the harshest of situations to your advantage. In this guide, we'll explore 7 powerful strategies to help you build emotional strength, with the first one being daily meditation. This ancient practice can help you regain control of your emotions, reduce stress, and lead a life of clarity and peace. Let's dive in and uncover the secrets to defeating your enemies through emotional mastery. 1. Daily meditation. Daily meditation is one of the most powerful tools a man can use to master his emotional intelligence and overcome obstacles in life. In today's fast-paced, high-stress world, it is easy to get caught up in negative emotions such as anger, frustration, and anxiety. These emotions can cloud your judgment, weaken your relationships, and cause you to act in ways that do not align with your values. Meditation is not just about sitting quietly. It is a mental training that helps you control your emotions, regain inner peace, and create a deeper connection with yourself. It serves as a daily reset, offering clarity and balance when everything around you feels chaotic. Just as a swordsman sharpens his blade, meditation sharpens the mind. As Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." Meditation calms the mind, offering insight into both your conscious thoughts and the deeper, often hidden layers of your psyche where negative emotions may linger. When you meditate regularly, you begin to notice subtle shifts in your emotional state throughout the day. It is in these moments of self-awareness that you realize how often negative emotions arise unconsciously, triggered by external events or old habits. Meditation helps you catch these moments, allowing you to pause and choose a more measured response, rather than reacting impulsively. In the same way that water, when still, becomes clear and reflects everything as it is, meditation stills your mind and enables you to see yourself and your emotions as they truly are. Modern life is full of distractions and pressures, from demanding jobs to financial responsibilities and societal expectations. The noise can make it difficult to hear the quieter voice of your inner self, leading many men to feel disconnected from their true purpose or emotionally drained. Meditation is like clearing away the static from a radio signal. It tunes you into the frequency of your soul, where true wisdom resides. Through consistent practice, you can gain deeper self-understanding and see with greater clarity what drives your emotions. This can prevent you from being swept away by fleeting frustrations or anger. Instead of seeing your emotions as enemies, you begin to see them as teachers, guiding you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. In our modern culture, there is a tendency to equate emotional strength with suppression. Men are often taught to bottle up their feelings and push forward without acknowledging their inner turmoil. However, true emotional intelligence is not about ignoring or repressing emotions, but rather about embracing and understanding them. Just as a warrior must know his enemy in order to defeat him, you must know your own emotions in order to master them. As the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "He who conquers others is strong, he who conquers himself is mighty." Meditation provides the space for this internal battle to take place, not in a violent or aggressive way, but in a manner that fosters peace and self-compassion. Curious, Eleanor asked if there was anything else she could do. Don Javier continued, smiling gently. Rosemary is a wonderful start, but there's more. Another powerful tool is a mirror placed directly across from your entrance. Mirrors have the unique ability to reflect and repel what they receive. If positioned correctly, it can bounce negative energy back out of your home before it has the chance to settle inside. Elena found it fascinating that such an ordinary object as a mirror could have such a profound impact on her home's energy, but Don Javier wasn't finished. Another essential element is sound, he explained. A Tibetan singing bowl or wind chimes can be incredibly effective. The vibrations they create clear away stagnant, negative energy and fill the space with harmony. It's a good idea to use these at least once a week or after someone visits, especially if you feel they left behind heavy energy. This will restore balance and peace to your home. Elena thought about how often she had felt that heaviness, but never knew how to clear it. Now, she was excited to try these methods. Don Javier also mentioned using crystals, particularly clear quartz, for protection. Clear quartz is a powerful tool for absorbing negative energy, he explained. Place a crystal in each corner of your main rooms to create an invisible barrier that will purify and protect the space. If you can, charge the crystals under the light of a full moon to amplify their properties. Eleanor was amazed at how simple yet meaningful these practices were. They felt deeply connected to ancient wisdom, and she was eager to begin using them. However, she still had one concern. Don Javier, what if the people bringing these negative energies are family or close friends? I don't want to offend anyone, but I also need to protect my home. 2. Practice compassion. Mastering emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful skills you can develop, and practicing compassion is at its heart. The Buddha taught that compassion is the antidote to hatred. When we find ourselves in conflict or confronted by an enemy, our natural instinct may be to react with anger, bitterness, or even a desire to retaliate. But what if, instead of reacting, we paused and approached the situation with compassion? Compassion allows us to see beyond the surface, beyond the immediate frustration or conflict. It invites us to view the other person as a human being who, just like us, experiences suffering, pain, and hardship. When we begin to look at people this way, even our enemies, it becomes much harder to hold on to negative emotions. Compassion becomes a bridge, transforming enemies into opportunities for personal growth, understanding, and even reconciliation. This approach might seem difficult at first. How can you show compassion to someone who has wronged you? It's important to remember that compassion isn't about approving harmful behavior or accepting injustice. Rather, it's about choosing not to be consumed by anger and hatred. It's about recognizing the humanity in the other person and understanding that their actions, however hurtful, often stem from their own suffering or ignorance. By seeing this, you can begin to respond differently, not from a place of weakness, but from a place of strength and emotional clarity. Let me share a Buddhist story that illustrates this concept in a powerful way. One night, a monk was meditating in his temple when a thief broke in. The thief was searching for valuable items to steal, but the temple was empty of riches. The monk, hearing the intruder, got up, found the thief, and handed him the only valuable thing he had, a blanket to keep him warm on his way out. The thief, shocked by this unexpected act of kindness, asked the monk, "Why are you giving this to me? I came to steal from you." The monk calmly replied, "I cannot stop you from taking what you want, but I can still give you what I have. May this blanket serve you well." The thief, stunned and confused, left the temple with the blanket, but the compassion of the monk stayed with him long after. He later returned to the temple, not as a thief, but as a disciple seeking wisdom. This story shows us how compassion can completely shift the dynamic of any situation, even when faced with an enemy or someone trying to harm us. Think about this in your own life. Are there people who have hurt or wronged you, perhaps intentionally? It could be a family member, a co-worker, or even a friend. What if, instead of reacting with anger or bitterness, you approached them with compassion, as the monk did with the thief? What if you gave them the gift of understanding and kindness, even when it feels like they don't deserve it? Compassion doesn't mean you're letting someone get away with bad behavior. It means you're choosing to respond in a way that promotes healing and growth, both for yourself and others. When you choose compassion, you are also choosing peace for yourself. Anger and hatred are heavy burdens to carry, and they often harm us more than the person we direct them toward. Compassion lightens that load, freeing you from the emotional chains that keep you bound to your enemies. It creates space for healing, for understanding, and for growth, not just for you, but for those around you. In practicing compassion, you are not letting someone off the hook for bad behavior, but rather you are freeing yourself from the emotional trap of hatred and resentment. Let's return to the concept of emotional intelligence. It's not just about managing your emotions. It's about understanding and responding to the emotions of others. Compassion is a key part of this. It enables you to navigate even the most difficult relationships with grace and emotional resilience. When you practice compassion, you are not just being kind. You are actively choosing to strengthen your emotional intelligence. This is what allows you to diffuse tension, resolve conflicts, and build stronger, more meaningful connections with others. It's what transforms enemies into teachers and obstacles into opportunities for growth. So, how can you start practicing compassion today? Begin with small steps. The next time someone angers you or you feel wronged, take a moment to breathe and step back from the situation. Ask yourself, what is this person going through? Why are they acting this way? How can I respond with kindness, even if I don't agree with them? These small acts of compassion can lead to profound changes in your relationships and in your overall sense of peace. In closing, remember this lesson from the Buddha. Compassion is not just a gift you give to others, it is also a gift you give to yourself. By practicing compassion, you cultivate emotional intelligence, foster inner peace, and transform your enemies, not by defeating them, but by understanding them. So I leave you with this question. Who will you choose to view with compassion today, and how will that choice change the way you feel? The true mastery of emotional intelligence lies not in controlling others, but in mastering the compassion you show in your own heart. 3. Non-self and letting go. Let's explore the profound teaching of non-self and the power of letting go, a concept that lies at the heart of Buddhist philosophy. Have you ever wondered why we suffer when we hold on so tightly to our sense of identity or our attachments? The Buddha taught that this is because the self, or what we perceive as the self, is not fixed or permanent. In Buddhist thought, the idea of self is like an illusion. There's no solid, unchanging core within us that we can point to and say, "This is me." Instead, what we call self is constantly shifting, made up of changing thoughts, feelings, experiences, and physical sensations. If you reflect on this deeply, you'll notice that nothing stays the same. Our moods change, our beliefs evolve, and even our bodies are in a constant state of flux. Yet, despite this truth, we still cling to the idea that there's a fixed me, an ego that we need to protect, defend, and satisfy. And it's in this clinging that we often find the root of our suffering. When you cling to the idea of a permanent self, you create a sense of separation between you and the world, a barrier that isolates you from others and from reality as it truly is. You might ask, how does this lead to suffering? Consider this. Every time something threatens your ego, whether it's criticism, failure, or even loss, you feel hurt or defensive. You might think, how could they say that about me? or "Why is this happening to me?" This is the ego at work, creating a narrative where everything revolves around the self, and in doing so, it traps you in a cycle of suffering. As long as we identify with the ego, we are vulnerable to these emotional ups and downs. The famous Zen master Shunryu Suzuki once said, "We suffer because we cling to something. When we let go, we are free." It is this clinging to the self that causes our emotional turmoil. But what if you could let go of that attachment? What if you could realize that the self is not something to cling to, but something fluid, something interconnected with the rest of the world? Letting go of the idea of a fixed self doesn't mean you lose your identity or become indifferent to life. On the contrary, it opens you up to a deeper understanding of who you are and how you are connected to everything around you. When you stop holding so tightly to the ego, you become more compassionate, more understanding of others, because you recognize that we're all going through similar experiences. The Dalai Lama once said, "If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion." When you let go of the ego, you naturally start to feel a greater sense of empathy for others, because you see that their struggles are not so different from your own. This shift in perspective allows you to connect more deeply with others and with life itself, leading to a sense of peace and harmony. But how do we begin to let go? The first step is mindfulness, being fully aware of our thoughts, emotions, and reactions in the present moment. Through mindfulness, we can observe the ego at work without judgment and start to see how it causes unnecessary suffering. You might ask yourself in moments of stress or anger, is this my ego speaking? Am I clinging to something here that I don't need to? By asking these questions, you create space between your emotions and your true self, a space where you can choose to let go. Letting go is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending that you don't care. It's about understanding that the self is not fixed and that you don't need to cling to your identity so tightly. In Buddhism, this understanding of non-self is closely tied to the practice of letting go, not just of the ego, but of all forms of attachment. When you let go, you're not giving up on life, but rather you are opening up to the flow of life as it is. Letting go allows you to live more fully in the present moment, free from the burdens of past regrets or future anxieties. Imagine how liberating it could feel to no longer be controlled by the need to constantly protect and affirm your ego. You would no longer be at the mercy of external circumstances or other people's opinions. This doesn't mean that challenges will disappear, but your relationship to them will change. You will see them not as threats to your self-worth, but as opportunities to grow and learn. One of the most powerful teachings of the Buddha is the idea that attachment is the root of suffering. This doesn't just apply to material things, but also to our attachment to our identities, our stories, and our egos. When we can let go of these attachments, we find freedom. Freedom from the need to be right, freedom from the need to always succeed, and freedom from the fear of failure. You might wonder, if I let go of all these things, what's left? What's left is your true nature, something that is boundless and not limited by the constraints of ego. When you let go of the false self, you open up to the vastness of life itself, to a deeper connection with the world around you and a greater sense of peace. So, how can you begin to let go in your own life? What are the areas where you feel most attached to your identity or your ego? Is it in your relationships, your career, or even your self-image? Take a moment to reflect on these questions and notice where the ego shows up. Then, practice releasing your attachment, even if it's just a little bit. Start with small steps, like letting go of the need to always be right in a conversation, or the need to always be seen in a certain way by others. As you practice this, you may find that you feel lighter, more at ease, and more connected to the present moment. The teaching of non-self and letting go is not about giving up, but about finding true freedom and peace in life. It's about realizing that you are not separate from the world, but deeply interconnected with everything around you. As the Buddha wisely said, "You only lose what you cling to." So, what are you clinging to, and how can you begin to let go? This journey of releasing the ego and embracing non-self is a lifelong practice, but it's one that leads to greater joy, compassion, and wisdom. If you've made it this far, you're already taking the first steps toward mastering emotional intelligence and turning your challenges into strengths. Comment below with "Master my emotions" to commit to these powerful strategies. Don't go anywhere yet. There's even more to uncover in this video that will empower you to conquer negativity and build emotional resilience. Stay tuned until the end for the final key to transforming your emotional intelligence. 4. Recognize and confront negative emotions. Recognizing and confronting negative emotions is one of the most powerful steps towards mastering emotional intelligence. Emotions are like waves. You can't stop them from coming, but you can choose which ones to surf. Too often we fall into the trap of suppressing our negative emotions, thinking that ignoring them will make them disappear. But in reality, unaddressed emotions linger beneath the surface, quietly influencing our thoughts, actions, and even our health. Instead of denying or avoiding these feelings, the key is to face them head-on, acknowledging their presence without allowing them to control or define us. Buddha wisely taught, "Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." This quote is a profound reminder that allowing negative emotions to fester only harms us, while our supposed enemies remain unaffected. By recognizing our emotions, whether anger, fear, or resentment, we gain the clarity to act from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. This awareness allows us to see emotions as transient experiences, much like clouds passing across the sky, rather than permanent states that shape our identity. In modern life, especially for men between the ages of 30 and 65, societal expectations often teach us to mask our emotions, associating emotional vulnerability with weakness. But in reality, true strength comes from the courage to confront what we feel without judgment. Think of emotions like messengers. They are trying to tell you something important. If you don't listen, they'll just keep knocking louder and louder until you pay attention. Acknowledging your emotions is not a sign of weakness, but of maturity and intelligence. Lao Tzu once said, "Mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power." When you face your emotions and understand their root causes, you unlock the power to manage your responses, which can drastically improve both your personal and professional life. In the same way, by recognizing and confronting negative emotions, you develop resilience. You learn not to act impulsively, but rather to respond with intention and clarity. In difficult conversations, for example, this emotional control allows you to stay calm, express yourself clearly, and avoid saying things you might later regret. It's like learning to drive in the rain. The conditions are difficult, but with practice, you can steer with control, avoiding the accidents that come from overreacting or panicking. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius also spoke to this when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This timeless wisdom echoes the Buddhist principle of mindfulness, where you observe your thoughts and emotions without getting swept away by them. By cultivating this skill, you find yourself better equipped to handle life's inevitable challenges. In confronting negative emotions, it's also helpful to remember that emotions are temporary. They rise and fall like the tide, and the key is to neither cling to them nor push them away, but simply let them be. Rumi, the 13th century poet, beautifully captured this idea when he wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Every emotion, no matter how painful, carries within it a lesson or a growth opportunity. By facing our negative emotions, we allow ourselves to learn from them and in doing so become stronger and wiser. This doesn't mean wallowing in sadness or rage, but instead it means creating space for these feelings to exist without letting them hijack our behavior. In this way, emotional intelligence becomes not just a tool for self-improvement, but also a path toward deeper self-understanding and inner peace. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to fall into the trap of busyness, using distractions to numb our feelings. But no amount of work, entertainment, or avoidance can substitute for the inner peace that comes from confronting and resolving our emotions. When you face your negative emotions, you stop running away from yourself. You begin to understand your triggers, patterns, and responses, and with this understanding, you gain the power to change. This emotional clarity also benefits your relationships. When you can confront your own emotions, you become more empathetic and understanding toward others, recognizing that they too are dealing with their internal battles. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Understanding is love's other name. If you don't understand, you can't love." This understanding forms the foundation of healthier, more meaningful connections with those around you, be it family, friends, or colleagues. Thus, emotional intelligence isn't just about controlling your emotions, it's about deepening your understanding of them. By confronting your negative emotions, you also confront your fears, insecurities, and doubts. This process may not be easy, but it is profoundly transformative. When you allow yourself to feel fully, without fear or avoidance, you free yourself from the shackles of emotional suppression. You become the master of your inner world, and in doing so, you find a greater sense of balance, peace, and purpose. As the Buddha said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." This journey towards mastering your emotions is not only about defeating your enemies, it's about transforming your mind and unlocking a deeper reservoir of inner strength. So the next time a negative emotion rises, don't push it away. Face it, learn from it, and let it pass. In doing so, you'll find that what once felt like a battle becomes an opportunity for growth, healing, and greater self-awareness. 5. Maintain balance in all situations. Maintaining balance in all situations is one of the most powerful strategies for mastering emotional intelligence. When life throws challenges your way, it can feel tempting to respond with anger, frustration, or even retreat into fear. But remember, the true mark of wisdom lies in your ability to remain centered, regardless of the circumstances. The Buddha's teaching of the middle way emphasizes the importance of avoiding extremes, and this approach is the key to defeating your emotional enemies. When you're too rigid or too relaxed, you lose control over your reactions. It's in those moments that emotions like anger, jealousy, and anxiety can overpower you. But by staying calm and maintaining balance, you ensure that no external situation can unsettle your inner peace. Imagine being confronted by someone who criticizes or provokes you. What's your immediate response? You might feel the urge to defend yourself or lash out in retaliation. But these reactions only give power to your enemies. Instead, by embracing balance, you learn to pause, take a breath, and consider your response mindfully. What good would it do to give in to anger? How much better would it feel to respond with calm, unwavering grace? In that space of balance, you gain the upper hand because your mind remains clear and you don't let emotions dictate your actions. There's a famous story from Buddhist tradition about a samurai who came to a Zen master seeking advice on how to control his anger. The samurai was known for his quick temper and fierce reputation, but he was also deeply respected for his bravery. He approached the master and demanded, "Teach me about heaven and hell." The Zen master looked at him and replied, "Why would I waste my time on a fool like you? You're nothing but a brute." Furious, the samurai drew his sword, ready to strike the master down. The Zen master calmly said, "That is hell." Realizing the lesson, the samurai sheathed his sword, humbled by the wisdom. The master then said, "And that is heaven." This story illustrates how quickly we can lose balance when we give in to emotions like anger, but it also shows how quickly we can regain it by choosing calm over rage. So, how do you maintain this balance in your own life? Start by observing your reactions. Do you often find yourself getting caught up in negative emotions or extremes? For example, when someone disappoints you, do you hold on to resentment or do you let go? When you face failure, do you wallow in despair or do you accept it and move forward? By recognizing these patterns, you can start to shift your behavior. Balance is not about suppressing emotions, but about recognizing when you're being pulled in opposite directions and gently steering yourself back to the middle. This practice also involves cultivating mindfulness, being present in the moment without being swayed by the highs and lows. The next time you face a difficult situation, try this. Pause before reacting. Ask yourself, is this response going to help me, or will it lead to more suffering? You'll find that by simply taking this moment to reflect, you create space for a more thoughtful, balanced response. This is how you turn emotional intelligence into your greatest strength, by mastering your reactions instead of letting them master you. Emotional balance is also closely linked to self-compassion. In moments of stress or failure, it's easy to be harsh on yourself, to criticize or blame. But just as you wouldn't want your emotions to control you when dealing with others, you shouldn't let them overpower you when dealing with yourself. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into self-judgment, remind yourself of the middle way. Be kind, be patient, and allow yourself the grace to learn and grow without getting stuck in extremes. Think about a time when you lost your balance. Maybe it was during an argument with a loved one or a stressful day at work. How did it feel? More importantly, how could you have approached that situation differently if you had taken a moment to find your center? These are the kinds of reflections that help you grow emotionally stronger. By learning to maintain your balance, you make yourself less vulnerable to the emotional storms that life inevitably brings. You become like a tree with deep roots. No matter how strong the winds blow, you remain firmly grounded. In the end, the lesson here is simple but profound. Balance is not something you achieve once and then forget about. It's a continual practice. It's about staying grounded when life is chaotic, staying calm when others are agitated, and choosing peace even in moments of turmoil. And when you learn to maintain this balance, no enemy, whether external or internal, can defeat you. The Buddha's teaching of the middle way reminds us that life is a journey of moderation, where the most powerful weapon you have is your ability to remain calm and centered, no matter what challenges arise. So, ask yourself, how will you bring more balance into your life today? What practices will help you stay centered when life pushes you to the edge? By mastering balance, you not only defeat your emotional enemies, but you also create space for deeper wisdom and peace in your life. When you are no longer swayed by the ups and downs of life, you become the master of your emotions and ultimately the master of yourself. 6. Self-awareness and mindfulness. Let's take a moment to reflect on something deeply meaningful: the importance of self-awareness and mindfulness in our everyday lives. At its core, self-awareness is the practice of being fully in tune with yourself, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, while mindfulness is the art of observing those experiences without judgment. These two concepts, when intertwined, provide a powerful foundation for living a balanced and peaceful life. They are like the roots of a tree, grounding you and offering stability, no matter the storm that may be brewing around you. The Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." This ancient wisdom is a reminder of just how critical it is to be aware of the thoughts passing through your mind as they shape the person you are becoming. But ask yourself this: how often do you pause to really observe your thoughts? How often are you truly present in your own life? In today's fast-paced world, we often rush through our days without stopping to notice how we feel or what we are thinking. This can lead us to react impulsively, saying or doing things we later regret, and losing the calm and composure we so often crave. Self-awareness is the antidote to these knee-jerk reactions. It's the practice of slowing down, taking a mental step back, and noticing what is going on inside before responding to what's happening outside. By doing this, we create a gap between stimulus and response, a sacred space where wisdom can arise. Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." This space is where mindfulness lives. When we become aware of our inner workings, we can choose our actions more wisely rather than being driven by habit or emotion. Have you ever reacted out of anger or fear, only to later wish you had handled the situation differently? Imagine if, in that moment, you had paused and allowed yourself to really feel what was happening inside you, instead of simply reacting. What might have changed? Mindfulness invites you to observe these feelings without getting swept away by them. It's about being present with your emotions, but not letting them dictate your actions. It's like sitting at the edge of a river and watching the water flow by. You don't jump into the current. Instead, you observe it from the shore. When you practice mindfulness, you give yourself the chance to see things as they truly are, without the fog of emotion clouding your judgment. As the Buddha said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." The present moment is all we ever really have, yet how often do we miss it, consumed by worries about the future or regrets about the past? Mindfulness brings us back to now, reminding us that this moment is where life is happening. But being mindful and self-aware is not just about avoiding negative reactions or staying calm in difficult situations. It's also about cultivating a deeper understanding of who you are and what drives you. When you are aware of your thoughts, you begin to notice patterns. Perhaps you notice that certain situations always trigger frustration, or that you often feel anxious in particular environments. This awareness gives you the power to address these triggers, to explore why they arise and how you might respond differently in the future. It's about knowing yourself on a deeper level. After all, how can you expect to improve or grow if you don't understand what's happening inside you? The philosopher Socrates once said, "Know thyself." This ancient directive is just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. To truly know yourself is to be aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, and to approach them with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you learn to approach life with a sense of openness and non-judgmental curiosity. Instead of labeling your thoughts or emotions as good or bad, you simply observe them as they are. This is a powerful shift because it allows you to break free from the cycle of guilt, shame, or frustration that often accompanies difficult emotions. Instead of feeling bad for feeling angry, you simply notice the anger. Instead of berating yourself for feeling anxious, you acknowledge the anxiety. In doing so, you allow these emotions to pass through you, rather than getting stuck and turning into something bigger. As the Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh wisely said, "Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. Mindfulness gives you the tools to navigate the waves of emotion with grace, rather than being tossed around by them." So how can you begin to cultivate more self-awareness and mindfulness in your daily life? It starts with small moments. Begin by setting aside just a few minutes each day to sit quietly and observe your breath. Notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. When thoughts arise, simply notice them and then gently return your focus to your breath. This simple practice can begin to train your mind to be more present throughout the day. Another powerful tool is journaling. At the end of each day, take a few moments to reflect on your thoughts and actions. What did you notice about yourself today? Were there moments where you acted out of habit or emotion rather than intention? What can you learn from these experiences? By making self-awareness and mindfulness a part of your daily routine, you'll find that you are more grounded, more centered, and better able to handle whatever life throws your way. You'll be less likely to react impulsively and more able to respond thoughtfully with wisdom and compassion. So, ask yourself, how can you begin to bring more mindfulness into your life? What small steps can you take today to start cultivating greater self-awareness? The journey begins with a single step, and each moment is an opportunity to deepen your connection to yourself and the present moment. 7. Practice letting go. Mastering emotional intelligence is like discovering an invisible force within yourself that helps you navigate life's most challenging moments with grace and power. One of the most profound lessons within this mastery is the art of letting go, a principle rooted deeply in wisdom that transcends time and culture. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, as often attributed to the Buddha, perfectly illustrates the destructive nature of holding on to negativity. To defeat your enemies without raising a hand or uttering a word, the key lies in releasing negative emotions, letting go of resentment, and embracing inner peace. This principle is not about weakness or passivity, but rather about cultivating an unshakable strength within, a strength that shields you from the storms of life, ensuring your heart remains steady and clear. In today's world, where we are constantly bombarded with stress, competition, and sometimes confrontation, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by negative emotions. Resentment, anger, or even jealousy can fester within us, clouding our judgment and harming our mental and physical well-being. Holding on to these feelings not only affects our relationships with others, but also diminishes our capacity to experience happiness and fulfillment. When you practice letting go, you are not condoning the actions of those who may have hurt or wronged you. Instead, you are choosing to rise above their influence, liberating yourself from the grip of emotional pain. As Lao Tzu wisely said, "He who conquers others is strong, he who conquers himself is mighty." This process of letting go is about reclaiming your power, deciding that you will not be defined by the hurt inflicted upon you, but by the calm strength you cultivate within yourself. Letting go does not mean forgetting or pretending that nothing happened. It is about acknowledging what occurred and deciding not to let it hold you back. The ego often insists on holding on to grudges because it seeks validation or desires a form of justice. But true mastery of emotional intelligence is understanding that the greatest justice you can serve yourself is to stop carrying the burden of someone else's actions. The late Vietnamese Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." This freedom is the ultimate form of victory over your enemies, because when you let go, they lose their power over you. The anger or resentment they may have sparked in you evaporates, and in its place you find serenity. Think of letting go like dropping a heavy weight you've been carrying for too long. The longer you hold on to it, the more exhausted you become, and the more it wears down your spirit. But the moment you decide to release it, you feel lighter, freer, and more capable of moving forward in life. In the realm of emotional intelligence, this is a decisive move. It is about choosing mental clarity over confusion, peace over turmoil, and freedom over bondage. In modern life, where every interaction can be fraught with tension, from workplace challenges to personal disputes, letting go becomes an essential skill. You may encounter difficult people, and there will always be situations that test your patience or provoke your temper. Yet, by practicing letting go, you become the one in control of your emotions, rather than letting those emotions control you. This act of release is not an overnight process. It requires patience, mindfulness, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. It's about taking the time to observe your emotions, to sit with them without reacting impulsively. In these moments of reflection, you begin to understand that clinging to anger or resentment serves no purpose. It only harms you, creating mental clutter and emotional chaos. As the Dalai Lama wisely noted, our enemies provide us with a precious opportunity to practice patience and tolerance. Each time you let go of a grudge, you are refining your emotional intelligence, sharpening your ability to remain calm under pressure, and enhancing your overall well-being. Moreover, in the fast-paced modern world, where stress levels are higher than ever, the practice of letting go can serve as a form of self-care. It allows you to detach from situations that are out of your control and focus on what truly matters, your inner peace and emotional resilience. Instead of being consumed by the desire to retaliate or the need for justice, you can redirect your energy toward more constructive and fulfilling pursuits. Letting go empowers you to live more mindfully, to focus on the present moment, and to maintain a positive mindset even in the face of adversity. In conclusion, the practice of letting go is not about surrendering to your enemies, but about mastering yourself. It's about understanding that true emotional intelligence lies in the ability to release what no longer serves you and to cultivate a life filled with peace and purpose. When you let go of anger and resentment, you not only defeat your enemies in the most dignified way possible, but you also win the ultimate battle, the battle for your own happiness and mental freedom. Remember the words of the Buddha, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." So let go and watch as your world transforms for the better. Thank you for joining us in today's video on mastering emotional intelligence. Before we move forward, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude for being part of this journey. It's truly an honor to have you in our community. Feel free to share your thoughts or personal experiences in the comments. If you're not sure what to say, you can simply type, "I'm ready to grow" if you're new here, or "I'm mastering my emotions" if you've been with us for a while. Your participation not only shows your presence, but also inspires us to keep creating valuable content. Let's keep growing together, shall we? Revealing the power of silence. Why your enemies fear you when you say nothing. In Buddhism, silence is one of the most powerful tools to help us gain self-control and inner peace, while also creating fear and hesitation in those who wish to harm us. When you remain silent, you not only protect your mind from distractions, but also send a strong message of confidence, wisdom, and self-discipline. 1. Silence reflects deep wisdom. Silence is a powerful tool that reflects deep wisdom, a concept rooted in many ancient teachings, including Buddhism. In our modern world, where constant noise and rapid responses are often seen as strengths, the ability to remain silent can set you apart. When you choose silence, especially in moments of conflict or adversity, you demonstrate a rare form of self-control and mental clarity. This silence reveals that you are not easily provoked by insults or the manipulations of others, which in turn makes your opponents uneasy. They cannot read your intentions, and this mystery makes them wary. Just as a calm sea hides its depths, your silence suggests that there is more to you than meets the eye: unseen strength, patience, and discernment. Buddha himself taught the value of restraint in speech. He once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." This emphasizes that words, when used mindlessly or impulsively, often carry little weight. But silence that is thoughtful and deliberate, can speak volumes. In today's world, where reactions are immediate and people rush to defend themselves or attack others, your quiet demeanor will stand out as a symbol of wisdom. Silence, after all, is not about weakness. It is about choosing not to be dragged into unproductive conflicts, choosing instead to reflect deeply and respond only when necessary. This calculated silence not only protects your peace, but also keeps your adversaries guessing. In their attempts to provoke or manipulate, they may find themselves confused and ultimately powerless in the face of your quiet strength. In practical terms, think about how often we rush to defend ourselves on social media, at work, or in personal relationships. We may feel the need to respond instantly to criticism or slights, but silence in these moments can be your most powerful ally. By stepping back, you signal that you are not controlled by external forces. You show that you are anchored within, unshaken by the passing storms of others' opinions. As Sun Tzu famously noted in The Art of War, "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." Your silence can be just that, an impenetrable shield that makes your next move unpredictable and strong. Therefore, in every situation where you are tested or challenged, remember that silence often speaks louder than words. It conveys a message of confidence, wisdom, and strategic thinking. The next time you face an opponent, whether in business, personal matters, or other life challenges, allow your silence to be the space where you gather strength. Let them wonder what your silence hides while you gather clarity and power within. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of wisdom. As the Zen proverb goes, the quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. Silence can be your greatest asset, a reflection of the depth of your wisdom, and a way to gain control without uttering a single word. 2. Silence as a way to protect your energy. When you choose silence, you protect not only your energy, but also your peace of mind. In a world full of noise and constant chatter, it's easy to get pulled into conflicts, arguments, or heated discussions that ultimately leave you drained. Every angry word spoken or negative interaction participated in only weakens your inner strength. Silence, on the other hand, becomes your shield. By remaining still and refraining from reacting, you cultivate a space where your mind can stay calm and focused, untouched by the chaos outside. When you practice silence, you stop feeding the energy of those who wish to disturb your peace. Have you ever noticed how, in moments of stillness, your thoughts become clearer and your emotions settle? It's in these moments of quiet that you find clarity, strength, and wisdom. Enemies, or anyone who tries to bring negativity into your life, find themselves powerless against your silence. Why? Because silence is a reflection of your inner strength. When you don't engage, when you don't allow their words to penetrate your calm, you rise above their attempts to provoke you. This doesn't mean you're avoiding the issue. Instead, you're choosing a higher path. Lao Tzu said, "Silence is a source of great strength, and in this strength, you create an invisible barrier that cannot be broken by anger or negativity. It frustrates those who seek a reaction because your stillness reflects your control over your own energy." Ask yourself this: how often do we truly protect our energy? How often do we allow ourselves to be caught up in the noise around us, only to feel exhausted later? Silence is a powerful tool for maintaining balance in our lives, but it requires practice. It's not about suppressing emotions or avoiding challenges, but rather about responding with wisdom and calm. Imagine how much stronger your sense of peace would be if you could resist the urge to react impulsively. Silence allows you to stand firm, grounded in your own values and understanding. By choosing silence, you're not just protecting yourself from external negativity, you're also nurturing your inner world. Every time you choose stillness over conflict, you're allowing yourself to heal, reflect, and grow. You become more aware of your emotions and less controlled by the reactions of others. In this way, silence isn't just a passive act. It's a powerful form of self-care and preservation. So how can you incorporate more silence into your life today? How can you use it as a way to not only protect your energy, but to elevate your mind and spirit? Think about the moments where silence has served you, and consider how you can embrace it more fully moving forward. 3. Silence makes your enemies feel uneasy. Silence is a profound tool, one often underestimated but immensely powerful. When you choose not to respond to those who oppose or challenge you, it places them in a state of deep unease. Silence strips them of the ability to read your thoughts or intentions, which can be deeply unsettling. In a world where many are conditioned to expect immediate reactions and constant chatter, the lack of verbal feedback becomes a mystery that unnerves your adversaries. Without the ability to predict your next move, they feel a loss of control, a feeling that is inherently uncomfortable and can even lead to fear. This subtle shift in power is profound. When you do not meet their aggression with words, they are forced to reflect on their own behavior, often realizing that they no longer have the upper hand. In the stillness of your silence, they are left to question themselves, often finding that their assumptions or strategies are flawed. This creates an internal battle within them, amplifying their anxiety because they can no longer rely on their usual tactics to manipulate or provoke a reaction from you. Relating this to modern life, we live in an age of over-communication, where reactions are instant and constant, whether it's through text, social media, or verbal exchanges. By not playing into this reactive culture, you regain control of the narrative. Your silence becomes a shield that deflects negative energy and redirects it back to the source. This doesn't mean you're passive or avoiding conflict, but rather that you're choosing your battles wisely. The Buddha once taught, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." In this context, the word might be no word at all. Your silence speaks volumes, often louder than anything you could say. Your enemies expect you to engage, to defend yourself, or to retaliate. When you don't, it throws them off balance, forcing them into a vulnerable position. On a practical level, silence in the face of hostility gives you the upper hand in various situations, from workplace dynamics to personal relationships. It allows you to remain centered, composed and focused while your adversaries scramble to figure out their next move. In silence, you are not only protecting your energy, but also cultivating patience and wisdom. Your lack of reaction gives you the space to observe, to learn, and to respond at a time and in a manner that benefits you most. As the famous saying goes, speech is silver, but silence is golden. The value of silence lies in its ability to create an air of mystery, to unsettle those who seek to challenge you, and to give you the clarity needed to make better decisions. In this way, you become a master of your emotions, no longer easily swayed by the provocations of others, but instead standing firm in your own power. 4. Silence helps you act wisely. In the teachings of Buddhism, silence is more than just the absence of words. It is the space where deep observation and contemplation take place. Have you ever noticed how much can be revealed when you take a moment to simply listen, both to the world around you and to your own thoughts? By practicing silence, you allow yourself the opportunity to step back and see things with clarity, rather than reacting impulsively. This is where wisdom emerges. When you choose not to respond right away, it isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. As the Buddha once said, silence is an empty space. Space is the home of the awakened mind. In this quiet, your mind becomes sharp, and you can act with intention, guided by insight rather than emotion. Silence confuses those who expect you to react hastily. It makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability brings discomfort to those who see you as a threat. They don't know what you're thinking or what your next move will be. But how does this work in practice? How does staying silent give you an upper hand? When you pause before speaking or acting, you're allowing your emotions to settle. This pause can be the difference between making a wise decision or one that you might later regret. Your silence forces others to show their hand, revealing their own insecurities and weaknesses. Could it be that by saying less, you are, in fact, saying much more? The wisdom of silence allows you to act with precision and calm, while those around you may still be trapped in reactive, chaotic energy. So the next time you find yourself in a tense situation, ask yourself, what will be more powerful in this moment, my words or my silence? Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I truly hope the insights we've explored together will help you face challenges with greater wisdom and inner strength. Remember, sometimes the most powerful strategies in life aren't about defeating others, but about mastering our own minds and emotions. The path of wisdom and emotional intelligence can transform not just how we face our enemies, but also how we live with greater peace and clarity. If this video resonated with you, please take a moment to like the video, share it with those who might benefit from these teachings, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom so we can continue to grow and learn together. Your support truly helps this community thrive, and by subscribing, you won't miss any of our future content. Also, be sure to hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when a new video drops. We have so many more powerful lessons and strategies coming that will guide you on your journey to mastering your inner world and living a life of true purpose and balance. Thank you again for being a part of this journey. Stay strong, stay wise, and always remember, the greatest victory is not in defeating others, but in mastering yourself. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace and wisdom to you all.